Vanessa, and I will be presenting on the virus Chikungunya. So what is Chikungunya? Chikungunya is a single-stranded RNA virus that is transmitted through mosquitoes, specifically the female mosquito species Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus, which are also known to transmit other popular viruses such as dengue. In chikungunya, the cycle begins when the mosquito bites an infected individual while the individual has a fever. Within the first 10 days, the virus multiplies within the salivary glands of the mosquitoes. So a little bit more about the vectors. Aedes aegypti is usually found in tropical climates. She lays her eggs on the sides of containers that contain water. The eggs hatch into larvae after there's been a large amount of rainfall or there's flooding or water is induced by humans. The larvae changes into a pupa in about a week. It then transforms into a mosquito in about 2 days. So there's two phases, the aquatic phase, which is the larva and pupa phase, and the terrestrial phase, which is when they're an adult mosquito. And they usually rest in darker, cooler areas. Aedes albopictus is found in tropical and temperate climates. The females usually lay their eggs, again, similar to the other species, on sides of containers with water. The eggs hatch into larvae after a large rainfall or flooding or again induced by humans. In about 5 to 10 days after hatching, it goes into the pupa stage and it then transforms into a mosquito in about 2 days. The larvae can also be found in natural habitats such as tree holes, which is also an issue. The eggs can stay in the water when it gets cold and will hatch when the temperature rises again, which is why a lot of these insects, these mosquitoes, can be found in many different types of climates, not just in tropical areas. So what is the disease burden of chikungunya? It was first detected in around 1952 in Tanzania, and since then it's had various other outbreaks around the world. Has become an endemic in the Asian regions, in India, and in African regions, specifically in places like Malaysia and Indonesia and Thailand. Around the islands in the Indian Ocean have been greatly affected, and also a lot of African countries have also seen a big endemic of this disease. In 2006, there were about 1.39 million reported cases of chikungunya in India, and this was a huge outbreak. Although it's not a highly fatal disease, the mortality rates are currently rising due to the recent unexpected rapid spread of the disease. PAHO confirmed that from 2013 to last month, February 2015, there's been a total of 27,136 confirmed cases in the Americas, majority of them being in the Caribbean, Central American region. And the first case in the Americas was found on the island of St. Martin in the Caribbean, and that was the first time we have seen a locally transmitted chikungunya virus in the Americas. So what are the symptoms of the disease? So even though there's not a high fatality rate with this disease, it does cause a lot of burdening symptoms. The onset of symptoms can occur anywhere from 2 to 12 days. Symptoms usually include fever, joint pain, muscle pain, headaches, nausea, fatigue, rashes. Most people are able to recover in a few days to a few weeks. However, there have been cases where people have shown to suffer from the joint pain months to even years post-infection, which is a huge issue because the joint pain that one endures with this virus is very, very painful. I have family members in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, and in Barbados who suffered from this virus last year in 2014. Let me tell you, like, they definitely were barely able to move. They weren't able to go to work. So it really puts a big burden economically on the community and in household, because if you're unable to work, you're unable to make money, and the domino effect goes on. So although there's not a high fatality rate, the impact that this virus has is huge. Once you're infected, your body produces antibodies against the virus, so you can't be infected again. Unfortunately, there's no specific cure, and there's currently no vaccine for chikungunya. Usually, infected individuals are treated for their symptoms. The CDC recommends of getting plenty of rest, drinking a lot of water, taking ibuprofen, etc., to relieve the pain and the fever. So, what are people currently doing for interventions and prevention methods for this virus? There's currently a lot of research being done to find interventions that decrease the rate of this infection. I believe this is a lot of more emphasis is being put into interventions for chikungunya since it's become more of an epidemic in the America region. Many articles have said, to prevent yourself from getting bitten from by a mosquito at all, they found that the usage of mosquito repellent significantly decreases the infection rate. Wearing clothing that covers your extremities. All of these are common sense, but also they're not so very practical in certain areas. So a lot of these infections of this virus is being seen in places in more rural areas, especially in the big 2006 outbreak in India. A lot of the cases were seen in the rural areas. And a lot of these places don't have access to mosquito repellent, or they don't have the money to buy mosquito repellent, or it's very hot, so people don't want to wear clothing that covers their full extremities. People may not know, other things to do to prevent from being bitten by a mosquito. Another prevention that I've written here is to eliminate mosquito breeding sites, so emptying containers, sites with standing water, to eliminate places where the mosquitoes can lay their eggs, using mosquito nets. Again, a lot of this is not readily available. This information, this education is not available to many rural areas that you'll find in the Caribbean, or you'll find in Central America or in India, for example. So a lot of countries are going to have to focus on educating the community on how to decrease the incidence rate of this virus, especially now that it's becoming so much more popular. Another interesting fact that I found during my research is that if you're infected, you have to avoid being bitten again by a mosquito during the first week of illness. Again, that's when, the virus is very highly transmittable. So what are some of the global public health strategies? As I mentioned, PAHO and the WHO and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are improving other countries' methods of being able to diagnose this virus and being prepared to control it. Again, in the Americas, and especially in the Caribbean islands and Central America, and it's even prevalent in South America now. People don't know much about this virus, so because there's no vaccine for it and there's no cure, we really need to educate our health professionals and the community on how to just treat the symptoms that you have, how to recognize when you have the symptom, when should you, try to stay away from being bitten from mosquitoes, etc. So all of this is going to take a lot of work and collaboration with the governments and with more developed countries, and helping to educate the other communities on how to prevent the infection rate from rising from this disease. Especially because the Caribbean is being highly infected right now, or the Americas, Central American region, and South America. These are all areas where there's a lot of travelers, a lot of high traffic areas where people go for vacation. So we're seeing now that this virus that is down there is being brought up here to the United States, to Canada, and the CDC has published a report of how many cases they've seen in the U.S. now and in Canada, and that those numbers are rising because people are going down to these areas in the Caribbean for vacation. They're getting bitten and bringing it back here. So although it's not a locally transmitted disease in the U.S. yet, I think they found one so far. They're still being brought up here. So again, educating our travelers and our community to know when when you should not travel to these certain areas, or how to protect yourself when you do, or if you have to go down there. And that's pretty much it. These are some of my references. This is just a brief summary of the chikungunya virus, and I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation.